wish I could see on my glasses.
So we've never.
And then I'll just kind of, and then I can see. Kind of. Close enough.
Oh yes, we're talking about So when I was I went to World Cup. We went to the Portugal North Korea. And the day before was talking about the players, big they were, and they were better than Portuguese players.
Wait. Okay. See me over here trying to figure out at what point my hand becomes visible in the camera.
They were excited, they were happy. In fact, I remember just before the game that they were it's actually it's in Mexico, the United States, training. It's available as training. Every big office space is probably well, but you know what? Let me say this. With the problem so I would definitely get it down there. Make sure you sometimes they do that. Oh, okay. This is both of you. So here. All that well, I think he's speaking his son. And then we realized that really is very genuine. Yeah. I could tell you now. You know, what I would do is reach out to the city, any city, and ask them for recycling for them. So that's a position, and that's required by the state. So they have So that would be an opportunity to So that's why I meant that you may want to yeah, and then also they're another one, and then DWP, it's called Collaboratuve. His mom had a board. So, I think he is, yeah, but you want it to inform. So the water is called the water mom. They really like the water. So I would definitely look at the water history and then also and the thing about DWP is
Wow, look at that. Exact.
Look at
Never
what?
even counted.
yeah, they would be okay. You know what? The problem is I don't.
What are you doing? So, Sergeant Garcia.
Maybe I should ask him when one of his SROs will answer my emails.
Thanks for joining us today. You can sit wherever you feel comfortable and kind of get the feel of everything in the chat.
Okay, there's no sound off
Thank you for joining us. Oh, yeah, you're fine.
Oops. T-shirt.
Sergeant Garcia.
12.
I put on all of them.
Sammy doesn't really have anything to say.
Okay, well, he can introduce himself and then we can do his questions.
Huh? Okay. All right, everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to our January 2026 first meeting of the year. We're so glad to see you all today. Hopefully you all had a restful, beautiful time with family and friends for your holidays. Everybody was good? Thumbs up? Excellent. Hard to come back, isn't it? After you've had all that time to eat all that good food and watch all that football. Okay, so we have an exciting meeting planned for today and a full meeting. So I'm just going to kind of move us along. My name's Jay, by the way. I'm the chair of the Collaborative and also founder at OC United. And so it's really great to be here with you all. So I want to introduce Linda if she would come up to the front. So Linda heads up our Early Child Development Committee, and she's going to be telling us about our presentation today. That's going to be looking at Early Development Index. And so I think we've got a full meeting of stuff ahead. So Linda, thank you. Welcome.
Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Linda Bibb, I'm the program specialist for Fullerton School District, and today we'll be presenting our first 5 OT Early Developmental Index, and I have Christina Blevins from the first 5 commission, and she will be here interacting with us today.
Thank you, Linda. Hello, everybody. My name is Christina with First 5 Orange County, and I'm going to share with you the data that we recently collected for your city and specifically for your school district. We're going to look at the district data, but if you're interested, we can send you the report for your city, which sometimes doesn't always align perfectly with your district, right? There may be areas of your city that belong to other districts, so we can share that data with you as well. And then at the end of the tables, there are maps and one-pagers that kind of condense the data in one page for you to look at, and you can use that to follow along or take notes. So I'm going to share with you what is EDI in case you've never heard of it, what the data tells us, and how we can use the data, and then if you have questions, we'll take those at the end. So what is the Early Development Index? The Early Development Index measures kinder readiness. It's done in the January-ish time frame of the school year on all the kindergarten students that attend a school district kindergarten program. They ask them about 100, well, they don't ask them because the child doesn't sit in front of them, but the teachers are asked 105 questions on the child's development in 5 domains. And it's based on recall, which is why we wait until January to do it, because we want the teachers to know the children and be able to recall what the children are like when they're answering this assessment. We use this at the geographic level. At First 5, we really use this to guide our investments. So where we see less kinder readiness is where we put more funding to help children meet the gap and increase their readiness. When we look at the data, it'll map back to where the child lives, not where they go to school. So that's helpful for us to know because the data is really measuring how well the community is doing to support kids before they enter kindergarten. Kindergarten is our endpoint, our success factor, our criteria. If they're ready for kindergarten, we've done a great job in the community getting them there. So it's really a measurement of community engagement before they enter the school system, which is why we map the data to where they live. Because even though the family may go to school across town, when they're accessing story times or going for walks in the neighborhood, they're not going to drive over to their school district to do those things. They're going to really stay in their little neighborhood where they live. So we want to look at those communities to see how well they're preparing children. So these are the 5 developmental domains that we'll look at the data in. When I show you the data, I'm going to show you the domain data, which is for the whole domain, and then we're going to look at subdomains. So that's kind of where you get the meat and potatoes of the data, because physical health is a big, broad domain, but when we look at that, it'll give you more of an idea about what specifically about physical health is an area of concern or that we need to work on in our city. So what you would expect for kinder readiness: physical health, emotional maturity, general knowledge and communication. Sorry for the yellow, it might be hard to see. That's language and cognitive development, and then social competence. We collected this data last January, so January of 2025. Most of the kids were 5, so when you think about 5 years ago, they were born during the pandemic. So the children that we assessed for the first 2-ish years of their life lived in a very anti-socialized world and were exposed to people in masks and social distancing in a very different world than what we grew up in when we were 0 to 5 years old. So think about that when we go through the data. If 25, 30, 40% of their life was in this crazy mixed up world, that's really going to impact some of the socialization and things that we see in the children now, right? So if we had 40% of our lives in that world, we would probably be very different humans as well. So thinking about how much that really impacted their short little lives. So here are the data findings for the district. We collected 998 records. That's how many kindergartners were assessed. Some of the records get thrown out if the children were not there long enough. So sometimes kids transfer into the district late in the school year, or maybe transfer from one teacher to another. If that's the case, then some of those records get thrown out. So their kinder population may be higher, but that's how many records we collected. And we did the data, we collected it at all 17 elementary schools. So you'll see the demographic data, and we compare the school district to the county, and they pretty much mirror each other. You have a lower American Indian Alaska Native population, but not much. And then the white population is also lower in your district compared to the county. Some interesting student data is the English learner data. That has significantly dropped across the county. We have a lot less English learners than we did in the past. We now have 10 years of EDI data, so we looked at our data from 2015, and the number was about 60% English learners, and now we're down to 30. So there's been definitely a population change. A lot of families that are maybe migrant families or immigrant families aren't settling and staying in Orange County. And another piece that we've seen a lot of change in is children with individualized education plans, which means they have special needs and special education services. It was 4% in 2014, and now at the county level, we're up to 11%. And in Fullerton, it's 13%. So they're even higher than the county in terms of how many children with special needs are in the kinder classrooms. And then another piece that impacted this year is transitional kindergarten. It is a new initiative that the state of California has rolled out. This school year is the first year of full implementation. Some districts implemented a lot earlier. In Fullerton, when we collected this data, 41% of the kids attended the TK program. We collect this data every 3 years, so when we do this again in 2027, we may see that number increase because now it's fully implemented and available for every 4-year-old in the district. So these are the results. Like I said, we have 10 years of data, so we can look back from 2015 to 2025. This bar graph shows you overall kinder readiness, and that's defined by the children who are ready on all 5 domains. So in 2015, the district was at 53%. We had an increase to 61%, a bit of a dip in 2022 to 55, but we're working our way back up with 59%. It's a pretty good bounce back from what we've seen comparative to other districts. Fullerton has a really good graph going up in readiness. And then we compare it to the county as a whole, and Fullerton has a higher percentage of children ready than Orange County as a whole. Then we look at on track by domain. So the different lines are the different domains, again, comparing it to 2015. In the physical well-being is the dark blue line at the top. It's kind of stayed the same. We saw a little increase, but then it kind of plateaus. There hasn't been a lot of movement in that domain. Emotional maturity is the green line. We did see a good increase. The line was moving steadily up, and then in 2022 we see that dip kind of back down. But again, these are kids that are born during the pandemic, so emotional maturity may be something that was impacted by their young experiences before they entered school. The orange line is social competence, and this one is one that we did see that huge dip in 2022. In 2022, we were social distancing still in classrooms, right? So that is, I think, a good reason why we saw that dip. But we are seeing that climb back up in 2025. And then the baby blue, or not really baby blue, turquoise blue, I guess, line is general knowledge and communication. That has also zigzagged. Something that we think might be impacting that is the transitional kindergarten experience, and there are more focused on academic skills in TK. So if 41% of the kids had that experience and they're coming into kindergarten a little more ready because they've had experience to the letters and the numbers in the county, that's going to impact that overall. And then the yellow is language and cognitive development. Again, that one has a really big zigzag. We were increasing really well in 2019, saw a huge dip in 2022, and then we're seeing it come back up in 2025. And that could also be because of lack of socialization in 2022 coming out of the pandemic. So local findings, we like to show maps. It's kind of the easiest way to look at the data, especially when you're looking at community initiatives. The darker neighborhoods are where there are less children ready, and the lighter are where more children are ready. So you'll notice that in the Maple neighborhood on the bottom right is where you have the most vulnerable population, meaning that less children are ready there, as well as the Manzanita Park, which is the bottom left neighborhood, and that is south of Orangethorpe. And what street is that? That runs through Pacific Drive. Do you know what street that is, Linda? It's like right in the middle of Pacific Drive going up. You know what street that is?
Gilbert.
Oh, Gilbert Street. So that little,
This one is probably.
yeah. And that Manzanita Park, the rest of that neighborhood may be in another school district map. So it could be that those children go to Anaheim or another district. And that's why I'm saying I can give you the data for your city. So you can look at, like, if that's an area you're like, oh yeah, I want to see what's happening there, we can look at that more in depth. It just didn't populate in the district data. But generally, the majority of the neighborhoods in the district are doing really well, and the lightest blue, so not an area of concern where more than 61% of the kids are ready for kindergarten. We are looking here at this map at the change in kinder readiness. So in the green areas is where we saw improvement. By the darker green is 10 or more percentage points, and then it kind of fades. And the red is where we saw worsening readiness. So again, that Maple neighborhood, the Richmond Woodcrest neighborhood, we saw scores go down from before, and then the Topaz neighborhood on the top right. And then the neutral color is really, the change was really minimal. It was less than 2 percentage points, which may not, if you're a data crazy person, it's not a critical difference. It could have just been there were more kids or less kids based on when we collected the data. So the physical health and well-being domain, generally overall, 84% of the kids were ready. And that's great for the whole domain, but when we look at the subdomains on the right, you'll notice that gross and fine motor down here at the bottom only saw 59% readiness, so that's a concern in terms of a little more than half were ready. So almost half of our kids are not ready in the gross and fine motor skills. And if any of you have kids or have seen kids at restaurants, you see that they're swiping and not really engaging their fine motor skills, and that's really an area that kids are struggling with. And then as well, those gross motor skills, potty training is happening later and later for some reason, and kids aren't able to like pull up their pants on their own. So those are the type of things that the kinder teachers are noticing that are impacting their readiness. Like if I can't go to the bathroom by myself, that's a bit of an issue in kindergarten. And then this is the map. So when we can look at which neighborhoods we have less children ready in this domain, and the Manzanita Park down at the bottom is of the neighborhoods the one that has the most vulnerability, but it's still only 18%, so it's not huge. Like if I was investing funds, I don't know that this domain is where I would put money because generally they're doing okay. Maybe some parent education about some engagement on the fine motor skills, but not necessarily like building a whole new playground because I feel like they're generally doing okay. The social competence domain, overall 83.9% of the kids were ready. And when you look at the subdomains, the one that's kind of pulling us down is that overall social competence with peers. And that's like playing with others, imaginative play, taking turns, those type of things. I think families nowadays don't necessarily play board games anymore or things like that. And that teaches a lot of those skills to kids, right? Even just the Candyland and like, it's my turn and it's your turn. So when you go to school, you'll understand you have to wait your turn, right? So some of the activities that families can do at home to help kids be ready, even if they don't go to an early learning program, but these are skills they're gonna need when they enter a school classroom. So social competence is the one in this domain that would need some focus on. I'm sorry, social competence with peers. And then this is the map for this domain. And again, the bottom left, neighborhoods, the Valencia Park pops up here. Something that's interesting with EDI to me always is that some neighborhoods are like amazing, no issues in subdomains, and then in other domains, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is an issue here. So the Valencia Park, even though it's only 13%, it's not that huge of a difference, but we didn't see them pop up as a neighborhood of concern in the gross and fine motor domain, or physical health, sorry. Oops. And then we have emotional maturity, 79% overall already. The pro-social and helping behaviors is at 43%, and that is like if there's somebody spills, do they help clean up the mess? I have teenagers and constantly like, can you guys help me? They're like, I didn't do that. Well, I just need you to help me. Like, it doesn't matter who did it. So it's a lifelong issue apparently. But pro-social and helping behavior is one that we would want to look at in this domain. And then in this domain, the map shows that Montwood Lakewood pops up as an area with more vulnerabilities as well. And then language and cognitive development, 79.3% already. And overall, most of those domains look good, not really one that we would need to focus on, which is great because I think the school district is doing a nice job with their TK and their preschools and their learning links and really getting kids exposed to the language and cognitive development skills that kids will need when they enter school. And then here's the map for this one, and the Manzanita Park neighborhood pops up here again, but it's 18% of the kids there. And then general knowledge and communication is its own subdomain. Overall, 79% of the kids are ready, but when we look at so this one's interesting because of how the data pops out, but when you look at the one subdomain, only 46% of the kids are ready in communication skills and general knowledge. So it is less than half of the kids that have the skills necessary. If you want to know why, it's a really long and convoluted answer, and I can get it for you from our data person, but I don't even understand it, so I'm sorry. But I on this domain, always look at the subdomain because that's really telling where the kids are at. I think it's because of where the cutoffs are for measuring on track, at risk, and ready, and not on track versus ready and somewhat ready. The cutoffs are differently when they do the data analysis on the back end. And then here's the map for that one. So the Manzanita Park, and then Maple neighborhoods, and then even that Montwood Lakewood, it's not the dark blue, but it's a bit darker than the other ones. So when you're looking at using this data and identifying what to do next, our recommendations would be to look at a domain and then pick a subdomain within the domain. It's too hard to say, we're gonna have all our kids ready in all domains, like that's a lot to chew. So thinking about picking one domain, picking one subdomain, and then focusing efforts on that. And then hopefully when we collect the data in 2027, we'll see some increase, and then we can pick another domain and then another subdomain and work through that and then slowly kind of go through. Overall, the district is doing really well in kinder readiness, so which is great because then we can really refine what we want to work on because the district has a lot of things really handled and are doing great things for kids. Another thing that you could do is looking at neighborhoods. So which neighborhoods do you want to focus? So Manzanita Park popped up more vulnerable in multiple domains. So maybe there are efforts that need to be done in that neighborhood to support families there, or is there a city programming that needs to come in, or do we need to get a mobile library down there? Like just kind of looking at like what assets does that neighborhood already have, and then what can we fill in to support children and families better. Is it a safety issue? Maybe families aren't coming out of their home because there's gangs. Like, I'm not really sure, right? But you guys can really do that analysis to understand why in these neighborhoods kids aren't getting experiences to engage with others or build their fine and gross motor skills or whatnot. Sorry?
Glass.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Rather than people speak Spanish and the kids.
Oh, yeah. So cultural differences are huge too. So understanding the culture and how do we help them differentiate, bring in different experiences based on what their culture differences are. And then really looking at like, who are your partners? So is there like a church that you can work with in that community that is a trusted partner to the family, or a partner that speaks their language or understands the culture and nuances and can support the family understand? Maybe even the school system in the United States is very different than other countries. So helping families just understand those nuances, and trusted messengers, or maybe want to hear more. We have that issue at First Five. We're a government entity, so people don't want to talk to us, especially right now. So thinking about who's trusted in the community, and that can be your partner to relay these messages to families, and helping them understand if your children don't start out ready, it is less likely that they end up graduating from high school, getting successful jobs, or entering college. So there is a direct correlation between being ready for kindergarten and going to a college or university. I don't think we need this one, right? Or do you want to show this one? So,
I mean, the reports are there.
yeah, there are reports for each school. We don't have that data, but Linda does. So if you're interested in a particular school, she can share that data. Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
Can you access that online at all, or is it something we have to approach you about getting, Linda?
This, I have not posted it online. We still have a couple more levels of communication that we have to do within our district, and then we can have, but if you want access, please feel free to email me.
Okay.
And I can provide you.
Thank you.
Is that my phone? I think that's my phone. You can reach it. Do you want to reach in my bag and turn it off? Sorry about that.
You are so important.
No, it's an alarm. I have to give my dog her medicine.
Very important.
Yes, yes.
So there's a couple things that this group can do, and I think it's really important to say. First, and thank you very much for this information, the development of fine motor skills, we saw this in the city I used to work with, is we work very closely with First Five and the district.
I thought I
So,
recognized him.
yeah.
Isn't he from Anaheim?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
It was La Habra.
Oh,
So the thing that we did was, as a recreation department, all of our programs were designed to help, introduce the youngins to all of the fine motor skills that we have. I don't think, honestly, I don't know if any city is here, but I don't think the city even engages that conversation with you or with anyone here. I think that's a missed opportunity. The second thing I think is really important, it goes back to the city, is that we have a great example of a public-private partnership that's going to be opening in that Union Pacific Park. Is that what it's called? Union, the park right here that was closed for many years. That included a Kaboom project, which was a community engagement project, for those of you who don't know what it is, and the residents had a chance to contribute towards that. And there's activity for the younger ages. The challenge that I think happens is you have an engineer at the city level designing a playground that's unaware of the needs of the community. So it really, really is important that this group lets the city know, Parks and Recreation in particular, that when it comes to new playgrounds, this group should be included, at least you should be included in that discussion, because this information right here is critical, because when you look at where the dark spots are, I guarantee you, they probably have playgrounds that are for older kids.
Yeah.
And you can go check it out yourself. I know at Valencia Park it's that way, because we have one of our mobile units there. So it's just something that I think that is a missed opportunity that we learn late in the game when they're gonna open the playground. What we should have been is at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So I encourage everybody to talk to Parks and Rec, to your commissioner, or even the city council person about that, to be inclusive when it comes to the built environment in our public spaces.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great point. Or even like lights. Do they have lights?
That's another critical
Yeah.
part of it. Work with law enforcement on that. We recently had an improvement at two of the parks, and we were able to work with law enforcement, and they improved the lighting. And the reason I say law enforcement, Jay knows this, is that they drive by a park and they want to see through it. Okay, that's from a law enforcement perspective. From our perspective, we just want it lit so it looks safe.
Yeah.
So it's really understanding, how to be able to approach the individuals and let them know how important that is. If you have a dark park, you should let the city know that.
Yeah, definitely. And cities have engaged with us more and more because so many people are leaving Orange County, right? And if people leave, that's less money for our economy. So cities have actually started to listen to us because if you want a young family that moves into your city and they want to be happy in the city, right? So what can we do to attract those young families for our economic vitality, if anything? Thank you. I saw a hand over here, yes.
I just have a comment. One, on your first chart, you listed all the minorities and then you listed females as if they're part of the minorities.
Oh, I think we pulled the data from the districts
Why didn't you list males?
because it's like
The
the
females are special, they're different.
I think it's because the males are the opposite, so if there's,
Well, then if you list the males, then the females would be out.
yes,
This way you make it look like females
are a minority,
a
yes,
minority.
that's a good point.
The second comment I want to
Red.
make is and kindergarten plans. Originally, kindergarten was planned to socialize children.
Yeah,
To do all those things you're saying they should be ready to do when they go to kindergarten.
yeah,
And for you to not allow for the actual developmental capacities, for presenting them with numbers and letters before their brains are developed, you're putting them back instead of ahead. Those academics in kindergarten, that's awful. It's just, it's not right, and I think you're doing some harm to kids. Anyway, because what you expect them to be before they get there is what you're supposed to do when they get there to get them ready for first grade.
yeah, so the tool does assess that, the letters and numbers, but at a developmental appropriate rate, like it doesn't say they have to know all letters, it's like, do they recognize their name? I think it's 10 letters, but they do take into account what's developmentally appropriate, and it's not a ton of questions. So when you look at the 105 questions, like 4 of them are the academic, like letters and numbers type of questions. It's more about like, do they pay attention to stories? Can they predict what's gonna happen next, and assessing it in a way that's more developmentally appropriate. But I totally agree with you in that kindergarten is way too advanced for 5-year-olds, and that's a total education system issue that First Five has no control over.
Leo Tolstoy taught his peasants to read. He said, if you just leave them alone, every kid will learn to read by the time they're 12. There is a capacity. For
Yeah.
learning.
For sure, totally. Well, point taken, thank you. Any other? Yes,
I wonder if you would share with us any great examples of partnerships between districts and cities, nonprofits that do tend to make a difference. Like one that said, this is the domain we want to work on. Like besides, play structures, what else could we do?
yeah, so La Habra has actually had the biggest gains in their data across all of our cities, and they are a small city. I will caveat by that. They are a very small city, so you can do more when you're small, right? But they have engaged the city now. The city has always offered their own early learning program, so the city runs a preschool, and like you mentioned, they kind of modify their programming based on the data and based on the neighborhoods. So they've got the museum and they've got the museum park, and that neighborhood was the most vulnerable. So they do a lot of events in that neighborhood, and they bring in partners like the diaper bank or developmental screenings all to the museum. So they bring the resources to the families instead of just saying like, oh, you have to go to WIC and they're like 3 miles away, it's gonna take you a bus ride. Like they bring them there. So the resource and the nonprofits and all the partners that serve families in that city are coming to where the families are to really help get the needs where they are. And the school district has supported as well in terms of being there and supporting families with early learning programming or understanding the special education system. And really, families are like, oh, my child's not talking and they're 3, then like talking them through like, oh, here's what you should do, talk to your pediatrician, and supporting the families that way. And they, like I said, have seen the most growth out of all of our cities. And I think it's just that like they all sit at the table like this, and the city is there, and their police department is there. Like almost all of their city departments have started coming to their meetings, and they're really starting to understand how the livelihood of the young children are impacting families. And then how like in their little niche programming, they can support seniors to support kids, right? Like their seniors are now coming to story time and reading at the story times, right? Or they're volunteering at the schools, like, so they're really like creating a system to support kids and families.
Can I share something real quick? So that started 15 years ago when the statistics came out, and La Habra was the lowest performing. It was really an embarrassment. And so that the thing was is that what we had committed to was everybody was blaming the schools, but it was actually a community problem. And that was the biggest difference, understanding that it's not the schools, they're coming in, it's the schools that's finding out. So what you just mentioned was absolutely the case, where we pulled everybody in and said, listen, this is a real problem, and this is going to take some time and effort. And this goes back to collaboration. That's why I got involved in it, is because when I retired there, I wanted to be able to take the same concepts and bring them here, because they do work. But it requires that district, both high school, the elementary school district, your private schools, your health centers, Peter knows this, St. Jude, everybody is working in cooperation together, dealing with the problem, and taking this map and understanding where the target is. And then, like I said, it's almost like an orchestra. You all got to play that music in order to make sure that it sounds good. And I didn't know that the statistics have been that successful, but I'll let Joanna know. I know Joanna very well.
Oh, yeah.
And she was actually, I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk so much, but she was actually someone who went through the child care program as a kid and is now the child development director. And so she knows firsthand what everything, how it evolves. So any community can be successful, but you first got to accept the problem, and then you got to understand collectively how we're going to target it. That's the secret sauce.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
I have a question. So I actually run a nonprofit that has community centers into the more developed, colored neighborhoods on that. And I'm wondering we don't have programs for like 0 to 5 currently, but what are there resources that First 5 would have, or other? And one of the issues that we have is that one of the neighborhoods, which the labeling of the neighborhoods is a little bit wonky, because Garnet and Topaz are the same neighborhood. So I don't know, whoever did that might be some feedback. That's actually just one neighborhood. But that neighborhood feeds into not Fullerton School, feeds into Central. And then the other neighborhood that was serving is Maple. And so I would be really curious to know, like, are there partners or other organizations that actually have, we're not experts on that 0 to 5 age range. We work with elementary through adults. And so that could come in and partner with us, right, to bring, we have the spaces, like to bring programming or something to those community centers that are the more at risk.
Definitely, I would start with the school district, because First 5 does give school districts funding to do community engagement. So they do receive funding to support outside of their district classrooms. So start there. Placentia or Belinda also, they have a Linda. Her name is Alma, and she's amazing too, and I'm sure would love to. First 5 can also provide technical assistance. We have a pool of consultants that we can deploy to support, but we also we go in, get you started, and then we back out, because we're not sustainable. Our funding goes down every year, so it's not like we couldn't come in and offer to fund something long-term for you. And then there are partners like Priority Center. I'm trying to think, but there are partners that support the 0 to 5. So I guess it would be based on like which domain you wanted to work in, and then we could support with creating those partnerships and getting them out to your program. So definitely reach out to Linda. She can get you connected to me or Alma, and if that's something in the Placentia district. But anybody else, if you're interested, First Five would love to support, or even if you guys wanted to bring the city to the table, we could come support conversations like in La Habra, Santa Ana, Anaheim, and Garden Grove are all kind of following the La Habra path and starting that. They're huge cities, so it's going to take them a long time to do that, but we got to start one step at a time, right?
And that's why we have Linda, because she's coming every month to share those resources to the community members. So make sure to connect with her.
Connect with me. I'll be happy to share a lot of resources for the 0 to 5. There is a lot out there. It's just getting the people invested into being committed and doing the things that we need to do for our little ones. So I'm
Thank
more
you,
than
guys.
happy to have a conversation with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. Linda, thank you for the work that you're doing in our community. So if you saw a neighborhood that you want to get that report, you can reach out to Linda. And when that time comes, she'll be able to get that to you. But thank you for that very helpful report. So next on our agenda is going to be Amy and Debbie are going to make an exciting presentation for us to celebrate together. What's that? Okay, so we want to invite Pathways of Hope and Solidarity to come to the front.
So as you know, over the last month, we've had an opportunity to raise funds for the emergency needs in our city. And so we are honored to be able to present them checks. We're going to be splitting $11,266 to these two organizations for their work in our city, preventing and helping the basic needs, and also with some immigration and legal support as well during this time. So we will be presenting that to James and Bethany. And Jay, do you want to join us? Take one picture with Amy.
You're gonna want to scoot with the projector is shining. Yeah, a little bit more. A little. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you so much. And all in one spot.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so moving right along, we have Patty O, who's with Cool OC, and she's got to share a presentation with us at this point and ask us some questions as well. Right, are we going to be taking the survey?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the survey girl now.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. As you know, Cool OC did some outreach for air quality monitoring, and today I'm here more about wildfire risk. So we have been trying to work in the Fullerton community because we do have some areas that are identified as environmentally underserved or at risk. So today we're doing some community engagement for Southern California Edison and their upcoming climate adaptation and vulnerability assessment. That's why I needed my paper, it's a mouthful. So they are required by the California Public Utilities Commission to get community feedback on this plan to make sure that underserved communities are represented in this plan. And that's where I need to rely on all of you guys as members of the community serving these people, serving these communities to make sure that their voices are heard. How do I go? Okay, thank you. So it'll be really quick, but Fullerton, in addition to some of the air quality concerns that we've noted before, and I'll be reporting back to you all in May about how that air quality monitoring went. Our risk for extreme heat, extreme precipitation, and obviously sea level rise is not as bad what is bad is we are still considered high risk for wildfires, so you kind of noticed like last week, the Santa Anas, that's why I've got a little bit of allergy. I'm not sick. Remember pre-COVID, we're all a little more afraid of sick people now. But it's just allergies and it's thanks to the Santa Ana winds. And that can really whip up the fire risk. We saw last year when it was really dry and then you combine it with those windy conditions, it was like a perfect storm for spreading the fires. In basically, as the climate gets warmer, we're seeing more and more high risk fire days. And so by 2050, they're saying we'll see 7 more additional days with high fire risk compared to the last 40 years. So we're just seeing a gradual warming trend that is making it a little bit riskier conditions for red flag days. So what does SCE do, and how is their distribution lines impacted? Well, so electricity from the distribution lines are, the electricity being moved from one area to another, and that can be impacted by a wildfire. So when there is a wildfire risk, sometimes they have to turn the power off. Has anybody ever here experienced like a power shut-off safety event? Okay, so a couple of you. So sometimes they do that to reduce the fire risk, right? And the outages could occur due to that risk and persist while SCE does some repair work. So what are the dangers of that, or what are the side effects? Depending on how long it is, your food could spoil, you could lose heating or cooling capability. A lot of us work from home, so if we have no power, we can't really work. Kids do everything online now, so that means homework can't get done. Our at-risk populations, it can affect, elderly adults, young children, and some people who might have medical needs that need access to that power. So what they're trying to do is make their system a bit more resilient, install circuit ties that, those are components that enable electricity to flow from different parts of the grid to each other during an outage, so that not every system has to go down. Some of it, they're trying to bury the lines underground so they're not subject to that fire risk. And they're replacing bare wires with covered conductors to reduce potential for a spark that could start a fire. So what we're trying to do today is, if you all working in the Fullerton community could take this brief 10-question survey. It's very easy, much easier than the air quality one I had to do. That one was a little tough, I admit. You had to draw circles and stuff, right? I swear this one's a little easier. But as representatives of people working in Fullerton, if you wouldn't mind scanning this, if anybody has trouble, Chelsea will be going around offering assistance. If anybody cannot scan the QR code, we do have a couple printed copies, but just a few. So if anybody needs a printed copy, please raise your hand. And then as a thank you for your time, we did bring some vegan cookies. I don't know if you saw walking in. We like to take vegan cookies around because we're trying to get everybody to eat more plants, which is more sustainable. And we want you to try them and see that, hey, vegan cookies are just as good as regular cookies, right? But less fat. And no animals were harmed in the process. So please try a cookie on your way out. And right now, if you wouldn't mind trying this survey, that'd be great. Does anybody need help? Are you all able to pull it up?
Which organization provided this?
Cool. Yeah, does anybody need a printed copy? Okay, right. One printed copy.
And if you get done with the survey before anybody else, the bathrooms are now open. Bless you.
Yeah. Okay, so y'all could continue on with that survey. I'll just kind of talk in the background. After the survey is done, we're just going to use the honor system. If you want to be entered into the drawing for one of 4 $25 gift cards, I do have just a sign-up sheet that's going to go around. If you could put your name, your contact info, so that way I could put you in the drawing. But how's the survey going? Everybody doing okay? Okay. We all get a A. but please make it to the end of the question. You'll notice the question doesn't ask any identifying questions, just due to the community being a little bit afraid of the ice raids, we didn't put any identified questions. That's why we have that sign-up sheet to be able to do the drawing. And then I see some Bonaparte Collaborative members. You might see this again next month, sorry. Okay, sounds good. So I'll just leave people to finish that survey. Thank you so much for your time and always letting me talk your ear off about the environment, and appreciate you weighing in for your communities. Thank you.
That was easy.
Much easier than last time.
I did it. All right. So as we are working on the survey, we just want to also just do a shout out. Sergeant Garcia is here from the Fullerton Police Department. Is there any? Just wave your hand. We can see the sergeant. I guess. If there are any concerns or questions, I know he's around and he can be able to address that. Do you have any updates that you want to share? How successful the drive was, maybe?
Oh, cooking?
Yeah. That'd be
The toy drive was very successful. We had probably like 500 toys donated to the Volkswagen group. And then we had about 2,000 from Barrel and Stave. It was their first year doing it. And next year they're going to go even bigger. So yeah, it was awesome. And then we also had Costco donate about 1,000 backpacks. So all leftover toys and backpacks got donated to the elementary schools.
Any questions? Thank you. And now, as we move into our subcommittee reports, we are a little bit shy on time. A lot of the reports are going to be on the dates. So the Fullerton Community Foundation, we will be meeting on the 4th Mondays. The dates are listed up there for you as well. Early childhood, I know that Linda, the 26th, I'm sorry, let me get my wrong date. January 26th at noon. Okay, and then early childhood, Linda, you have some say the date that you want to
Oh, yes.
share.
I do have a card back here on our first early childhood or directors meeting on February 19th. We're having a directors roundtable on February 19th. There's a save the date card on the back, and just scan the QR code. We will be providing a light lunch for those that participate. So, more information to come.
Absolutely. And if you want to get invited to the Zoom, we would love to have you have that discussion, a fuller discussion around early development projects. It's via Zoom. It's on James, do you want to do an update for homeless? Yes. Is that the right date? No.
Hello, good afternoon. So we will be meeting next Wednesday, the 21st, for the homelessness subcommittee. We have moved locations as well. So the City of Fullerton's Housing Division will be hosting us. So for this upcoming meeting next Wednesday, it's going to be here at the Fullerton Library. The library opens right at 11 a.m. and the staff member there will announce for anybody that's going to be participating in that meeting that they can go ahead and come inside. If you do arrive past 11 a.m., you do have to check in with the staff member there and they'll walk you to the boardroom that's on the 4th floor of the library. To those that are attending, I will be sending out an update this week with all this information as well. And if you are interested in attending, please connect with me. Thank you.
I just wanted to announce that our next meeting would be on Wednesday the 14th. I won't be here, but Amy will be running the meeting that day. So, Peter?
Good afternoon, everyone. For our Health and Wellness Subcommittee meeting, so our next meeting is on January the 28th. It will be virtual from 10 to 11 a.m. through Zoom. If you're interested in participating, please email myself or Debbie. Just quick announcement. So as all of you know, during the fall of last year, we did launch our Move Your Way challenge to promote physical activity in the city of Fullerton. And so I just wanted to quickly share our final participation numbers. So we did have a total of 3,718 residents participate in the challenge. Of those, 400 healthy behavioral goals were established from community members. And so next steps from our end is to follow up with them and see how they're doing with their health and wellness goal. But I also wanted to announce who the winners for the challenge are. And so I don't know, maybe some of you all know these individuals, but our winners were Melissa Davila, Minerva Jimenez, Giselle Rosales. So those were the three top participants for the challenge. And so with that, also, I know that as far as additional updates, I'm not sure if you all are aware, but there was modifications to the food pyramid. And so with that said, on the 28th, looking forward to having that interesting discussion with you all.
And we are also talking about safety in our community and a discussion around electric bikes and the new policy that the city is introducing as well. So we're going to have probably a follow-up discussion in our February general meeting around that. So we invite you to come and join us for that. We do have some partner announcements, and as a reminder, flyers, please email me the flyers and I will pop it in there. And I know we have some great things happening with Vanguard University, so if you could, I want to do an announcement, and if anybody else around you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ruthie Hanchett, and in addition to serving on the Fullerton Elementary School Board, I also work at Vanguard University, where I teach on the issue of human trafficking. And tonight, I wanted just to invite everyone. We are going to be having an event. It's co-hosted with the Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force. It's part of an ongoing series to engage the community on how to fight human trafficking, because as many of us know, January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month. So tonight it will be at Vanguard University in Costa Mesa, right by the fairgrounds. It's free, and it's especially focused on how faith communities can help fight human trafficking. So if you consider yourself someone who would be involved in a faith community, I encourage you to come. You can also register for both a free parking pass if you need it, but also to join the Zoom link. So if you're not able to make that drive tonight, you need to be home doing whatever we're doing, you can also join on Zoom. So just register with the QR code, which is here, as well as on the flyer, which I will leave by the back door. There's more copies. You can join that way. We have ongoing events, so I'm always happy to share more, and I know within our community about these ongoing series of events about human trafficking. While I have the microphone, I also want to encourage everybody. The Fullerton School District is searching for our next superintendent. Our Dr. Bob Plett is retiring at the end of this month. And so if you go now to our Fullerton website, fullertonsd.org, you will find a survey for the community to take to give your input about what is important, what we want to see to find that perfect fit for our next superintendent. So I encourage you, all of our partners are really critical stakeholders in this process. We are trying to listen to the community. We have scheduled listening sessions. There will be an open forum on Thursday night at 6 p.m. I believe at Pacific Drive. That's also on the website. So if you want to come in person, you can do that. Am I right? Is it
No, it's Wednesday at 4:30. No,
That's the collaborative, perhaps. There's many different events happening.
It's Wednesday at 11:30 at Pacific Drive.
Okay.
It's the leadership associate superintendent.
Okay, so there is one happening at 11:30 in the morning on Wednesday. I believe there's also a Thursday evening. Check the website. There's lots of options, but also this survey, which you can do anonymously, share information. We'd love to have your input. Thank you.
You got it, Jay?
Radiant teacher?
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Teo and I'm from Rating Futures, formerly known as WTLC. We're right around the corner, so we're located here in Fullerton. And we provide services at no cost to survivors of domestic violence, including human trafficking, just like Vanguard University. And not only that, but we also provide services for our elder dependent adult abuse survivors. And so January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. We have a lot of events throughout this whole month. And in fact, we have one that's over there. So I did put some of our flyers there, including the calendar, what to expect, all free at no cost events. This Thursday, actually, we've collaborated with Salvation Army. And so we have our very first fashion show featuring our Rating Futures staff. And also we will have our true cost film screening. And so it's learning the impact of fast fashion versus slow fashion. And of course, raising awareness on sustainability. So with that being said, that's what we have for this upcoming Thursday. Next week, that goes back to being active and wellness, right? Health and wellness. We have our hip hop cardio, which will be located at Mix Academy, downtown Santa Ana. We're expecting about 80 to 100 individuals. We've had it even for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We've been going on for another fourth year. And so it's been great. You can come out. You don't have to be, well coordinated or even a dancer. It's just all about moving and then use your body as a voice, especially for our survivors that are silenced in their journeys. So that also promotes empowerment for them as well. So check us out. We have the calendar there. And then for events, and including our human trafficking pop-up event, which is on the 29th, also at no cost. We're right around the corner. So please check us out. We have about 10, almost 12 vendors coming out. They're all fair trade. You can also bring your fur babies. It's open to all ages. You can bring your kiddos. And so that's on the 29th. Thank you.
Down to the last 30 seconds. So if you do have events, as a reminder for members of the collaborative, you have access to the community calendar to enter in any of those dates. So make sure to get that. The password is the same as of right now. It will be changing in the next 2 weeks. So for all those that renewed for the last year. Thank you again for joining us. Jay, do you have anything to add? He's gonna.
No. See you next month.
See you next month. Enjoy the resources and the Beacons of Peace. Have a fantastic day.
Hi. Show and okay, I don't think there's anybody there. Okay.